The king is dead. Origens humildes e paiseo pela musica. Elvis Aaron Presley nasceu em 8 de janeiro de 1935. Filho de Vernon e Gladys Presley. Criado em lar simples. Cresceu ouvindo gospel e blues. Músicas que moldariam sua identidade. Desde cedo, a música era su refugio. Mas o mundo ainda não sabia que, em breve, garoto de Mississippi mudaria a história de música. From an early age, music was his refuge. But the world still didn't know that soon, a boy from Mississippi would change the course of music history. With a voice that echoed soul and passion, he would become an icon, inspiring generations with his songs. Get ready to discover the incredible journey of Elvis, a true music pioneer. The rise of Elvis Presley. With a voice that echoed soul and passion, Elvis Presley quickly captured the hearts of country and rockabilly music fans. His first single, That's All Right, released in 1954, was a local success in Memphis, but it was his second single, Blue Moon of Kentucky, that brought him national fame. Overwhelming success. In 1955, Elvis signed with RCA Victor and released his first national single, Heartbreak Hotel, which reached the top of the charts. His debut album, Elvis Presley, was also a success, selling over 1 million copies. In the following years, Elvis released a string of successful albums and singles, including Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock, Love Me Tender, and Don't Be Cruel. He became a cultural icon, appearing in films, TV shows, and live performances. Observation. In 1954, Sam Phillips, owner of Sun Records, records Elvis Presley singing That's All Right. The impact is immediate. The blend of country and blues, with an unstoppable charisma, shocks conservative America. But the music was only part of the revolution. The way he danced, the hips that defied the morality of the time, turned Elvis into a phenomenon. Behind the rock and roll icon, a shadowy figure pulled the strings. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, controlled every aspect of the artist's life. But how far would he go to maintain control? Na verdade, vou controla. Tom Parker, immigrant illegal com verdadeira historia milita, torna-se o empresario de Elvis. Com uma estratégia implacável, ele transforma Elvis num produto, explorando a sua imagem e talento para maximizar os lucros. Parker exerce control rigoroso sobre todos os aspectos de vida de Elvis. Desde suas apresentações ao vivo e suas gravações em estúdio. Ele também controlava a imagem pública de Elvis, determinando o que ele vestia, como seria sua aparência e mesmo como se comportaria em público. A transformação de Elvis num produto foi processo deliberado e calculado. Parker sabia que, para manter o sucesso de Elvis, era necessário criar uma imagem consistente e atrativa para o público. Utilizou todas as ferramentas a sua disposição, incluindo publicidade, marketing e manipulação do impresso, para criar uma imagem de Elvis que fosse ao mesmo tempo autêntica e comercializável. O resultado foi uma imagem de Elvis que era ao mesmo tempo icônica e artificial. Elvis tornou-se símbolo de cultura popular, ícone do rock and roll reconhecido em todo o mundo. Mas ao mesmo tempo, ele também se tornou prisioneiro de sua própria imagem. Preso em papel que foi criado para ele por Tom Parker na indústria do entretenimento. Elvis wanted to innovate, but Parker kept within two commercial limits: benign films, controlled shows, and an exhaustive schedule. In 1958, Elvis Presley was drafted into the United States Army. This period of military service marked a significant break in his musical career. During these 2 years, Elvis served in Germany, where he continued to receive media and public attention, despite being away from the music scene. When Elvis returned to the United States in 1960, his image and career had undergone a transformation. He had matured and his musical style had evolved. The music industry had also changed during his absence, with new artists and styles emerging. The young rebel, who had captured the hearts of young Americans in the 1950s with his rockabilly and defiant style, had given way to a more mature and refined artist. The music industry had tamed his style, steering it in a more commercial and less controversial direction. This period marked the beginning of a new phase in Elvis's career, characterized by greater musical diversity, including recording soundtracks for films and exploring other musical styles, such as country and gospel. Although he lost some of his rebellious image, Elvis continued to be an iconic and influential figure in popular music. By the 1970s, Elvis Presley was in a state of profound physical and mental exhaustion. The success that had catapulted him to stardom in the 1950s and 1960s now seemed like a prison with no way out. The constant pressure to produce new hits, perform, and maintain his public image had taken its toll. His once slim and athletic body was now bloated from overuse of prescription drugs. Elvis had developed a dependence on sleeping pills, painkillers, and other medications that help him cope with stress and pressure. This dependency had negatively affected his health, causing problems such as weight gain, digestive problems, and a lack of energy. In addition, Elvis's mind was worn down by the constant pressure to maintain his idol status. He felt trapped in an endless routine of concerts, recordings, and public appearances, with no time for himself or his personal interests. The lack of privacy and constant media attention also stressed him. Elvis wanted to escape this life of stardom, but he felt he could not stop. Show business is a cutthroat industry, and fans and managers expected him to continue producing and performing. In addition, Elvis had a team of people who depended on him for their livelihood, including his family, his musicians, and his staff. So Elvis continued to perform, even though his health and well-being were declining. His shows became increasingly tense and unpredictable, with Elvis sometimes forgetting the lyrics to his songs or having trouble standing on stage. Elvis's situation was a vicious cycle. He needed show business to support himself, but show business was destroying his health and well-being. This internal tension eventually led to a breakdown, and Elvis died in 1977 at the age of 42. The stages that once gave him life were now his prisons. This quote perfectly sums up the transformation that Elvis Presley experienced in his career. The stage, which was once a place of freedom and expression for him, now became a place of confinement and obligation. The word prisons is especially significant here, as it suggests a sense of imprisonment and lack of freedom. Elvis, who was once known for his energy and enthusiasm on stage, now felt trapped in a routine that no longer satisfied him. This quote can also be interpreted more broadly, as a metaphor for Elvis's life in general. Fame and success, which were once his goals, now became a prison that prevented him from living the life he truly wanted. It is a profound reflection on the cost of success and the importance of maintaining freedom and authenticity in our lives. The death of Elvis Presley, a tragedy foretold? On August 16, 1977, the world was shocked by the news of the death of Elvis Presley, the King of Rock and Roll. At just 42 years old, Elvis left behind a legion of fans and a career marked by success and excess. Officially, the cause of death was a heart attack, but it is impossible not to question whether exhaustion, loneliness, and substance abuse were the real culprits in his premature death. Elvis Presley was an artist who lived life to the fullest, both on and off stage. His touring and recording schedule was grueling, leaving him physically and mentally exhausted. Furthermore, fame and fortune were unable to fill the emotional void he felt. His personal relationships were falling apart, and he felt increasingly isolated and alone. Substance abuse was another factor that contributed significantly to Elvis's death. He developed a dependence on sleeping pills, painkillers, and other substances, which negatively affected his physical and mental health. In addition, Elvis had pre-existing health problems, such as obesity, high blood pressure, and heart disease, which were aggravated by his lifestyle. In short, Elvis Presley's death was a tragedy waiting to happen. Exhaustion, loneliness, and substance abuse were the true culprits behind his untimely death. It is a lesson to us all, showing that fame and fortune are not enough to guarantee happiness and health. Elvis Presley continues to be remembered as one of the greatest entertainers of all time, but his death also serves as a reminder of the importance of taking care of our health and well-being. His eternal legacy shines like an immortal star, but the narrative of Elvis Presley is also a sad song of how fame can devour its own idols, leaving only shadows of glory and an echo of sadness. Elvis Presley, often dubbed the King of Rock and Roll, was undoubtedly a musical genius. His distinctive voice, charisma on stage, and ability to fuse diverse musical styles, including blues, gospel, country, and rhythm and blues, made him a global cultural icon. He not only redefined popular music, but also shaped an entire era of entertainment, fashion, and social behavior. Elvis pioneered the breaking of racial barriers in the music industry, bringing predominantly black sounds to predominantly white audiences, which was revolutionary for its time. Yet behind this legacy of glory, Elvis was also a deeply vulnerable figure, someone who in many ways fell victim to the same forces that propelled him to fame. The relentless exploitation of the music industry, greedy managers, the constant pressure of the spotlight, and the unrealistic expectations placed on him all contributed to his personal decline. He was consumed by the entertainment machine, which prioritized profit and image over human well-being. Elvis struggled with mental health issues, drug addiction, and social isolation, all while trying to maintain a public persona of success and perfection. His body and mind paid a heavy price for it. The music industry, however, seems to have learned very little from Elvis's journey. Over the decades, we have seen countless other artists follow similar paths. Extraordinary talents who succumb to the unbearable pressures of fame and the abuses of the system. Michael Jackson, Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Whitney Houston, and so many others are examples of artists who, like Elvis, struggled with addiction, emotional crises, and predatory exploitation. Many of them were celebrated while they were at the top, but abandoned when they began to show signs of weakness. The pattern is clear. The industry often values the product more than the person, treating artists as disposable commodities. The question remains, how many sacrifices will it take before there is significant change? To what extent can the relentless pursuit of profit and success continue to ignore the devastating impact it has on those who sustain this industry? Elvis was not just a brilliant artist. He was an early warning, a beacon that illuminated the dangers of rampant idolatry and systematic exploitation. Unfortunately, it seems that we are still repeating the same mistakes, allowing new generations of artists to fall into the same traps. Perhaps it is time to rethink how we treat our cultural icons. Rather than admiring them solely for what they can offer artistically, we should recognize their humanity and ensure that they receive adequate emotional, creative, and financial support. After all, Elvis's story should not only be a reminder of his brilliance, but also a call to action to create a more just and compassionate environment for all artists. The question remains, to whom does an artist belong? To himself or to the hands that shape and destroy him?